Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Mike here, Esco Fitness, and we're back. But before I start, subscribe, like, and comment. And today, I got a special treat for y'all. I got a special guest with me on the channel. My boy Guerrero Fitness came all the way down from SoCal. To be exact, San Gabriel Valley is where he's from. But yes, sir. So let's get started. Where you from, brother?
Thank you. First and foremost, thank you, Big Dog, for your hospitality, for a great workout. We just did deadlifts. This guy, man, he's a animal, man. But yeah, so for all you guys that don't know me, I started my online coaching. I'm Guerrero Fitness. You guys can check me out, Guerrero_Fitness on IG. And my name's Yofon Enriquez. My boys are here with me as well as we travel as a family. But like I said, I'm a fitness, mindset, and a nutrition coach, which I would just call it life coach, And I come all the way from SoCal, which is, I was born and raised in San Gabriel Valley, but it's maybe about 15 minutes from LA.
So tell me a little bit about your upbringing, how you were raised, how you grew up. We talked a little bit. You said you grew up in gang culture.
Absolutely, man. I mean, shit. Most of us, I came from Mexico. That's where I was born, but I was raised in Baldwin Park because I got here maybe when I was like 4 years old, just about turning 4. And so I grew up in Baldwin Park, and that was kind of like the gang environment, San Gabriel Valley, which pretty much a lot of people that know that area is just flooded. It's flooded with a lot of Hispanic, a lot of gang activity, and that's pretty much what was my upbringing. And it was like, it's something that most of us picked up because we looked up to the wrong role models, and that examples that were presented to us at that time were people that we were looking up to because of how they look, how they carry themselves.
Yeah.
The respect that they gain, So
yes.
I'm pretty sure you're familiar with that. Like I said, it's just something that, we didn't have no rite of passage, So as we were, we come from a family that all they do is work. They go work, come home, they're tired. They don't, really put that much energy and focus, on the kids, which like, hey, how you doing? Or get involved in sports, keep them busy. So, I mean, that's all they knew. That's all they were raised and taught. So, I mean, the cycle continues till somebody ends up breaking that cycle and start, soaking up more knowledge and wisdom on how to raise a family that's, that come together and keep your kids involved, So most of us experienced that. Like, we didn't have no guidance, the correct way. So what we seen that was cool, we just gravitated towards that, and it was always just bad influence at the end of the day,
Yeah. Funny is I grew up very similar to you as well. My family's from Central America. I was born in Frisco, San Francisco, where you're visiting, my hometown. Grew up in the Mission District. And same thing, it was flooded with gangs everywhere. And like you said, you look up to the homies, as we call it, the big homies. You like their swag. You like the respect that they're getting. And some of them are ballers. You like the money they're getting. And along with that, of course, when we're young, like, I want the pretty girl. I want the nice car. But you're also wrapped up in the gang culture because you're looking up to these guys. Your influence is wrong. You know what I mean? We're being influenced by the wrong people.
Absolutely, man. And like I said, I mean, the thing is that, I mean, we glorify that gang life because that's all we knew. So that was our environment. So we were raised in that environment. And so it's only natural that we, either you were going to take this side or you're going to take this side, And like I said, for most of us, coming to this country, not knowing, like, having any kind of guidance, proper guidance. So you're going to go towards what's cool, what's more like appealing, like what's more like eye candy, and it's going to be like the cars, these guys balling out of control and just trying to be somebody, We always look up to someone that's cool, that's, that's well put together, which a lot of my homeboys, they were coming out of prison, looking healthy. So you're like, oh man, I'm trying to be like that. We're trying to be like someone that's liked, that's respected. And that's what we're going to gravitate towards, So now what we're trying to do is like, me as growing up and being around all that, being laced up by a lot of OGs, it helped me now later on to be able to articulate all that wisdom and that knowledge and that street mentality to help others and have these youngsters that look up to me, but me provide them with something that's more fulfilling, which is, working on yourself, striving to become better, the definition of hard, what hard stands for, not trying to, smash somebody or try to prove a point or teach somebody what he's not. We're trying to use and utilize all these definitions that we have, like, confused. We're like, oh, hard is this. No, hard is, going to work, making something out of yourself, looking for a purpose.
Yes.
So that I was able to, so all that helped me, on what I'm doing now, which is coaching and creating other leaders.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny you say that. It's exactly the same way I grew up. Look up to these guys. And for me, it was more like a sense of belonging. You want to belong. You want to be part of a neighborhood. You don't want to be the outcast. You want to make sure you got a little backup. I got my homies. And then you look up to the bigger homies. And again, you see them coming out of prison. And like I was talking to you downstairs, what did we see on the TV growing up in the 80s? Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone, Jack guys. You see the respect they get. You see the women they get. You see these guys coming out of prison. They're getting the girls. So we strive to be like that. It's the right message, but the wrong message.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You couldn't say it any better. But that right there is like we see them as superheroes in a sense, as we were growing up, right? Yep. Like I was, as I was growing up, I seen Arnold, I seen Rocky, I seen all these, bodybuilders that also, got my attention too.
Yes.
But throughout life, like I said, we gravitated towards like something that, obviously it wasn't, it wasn't something to look up to, but like you said, it's just the environment that we grew up, that we get kind of like sidetracked. Because I was like working out because like you said, of like Arnold and all them, I want to be like,
Yep.
these movie stars,
Yes.
but it's at a certain point, it seems like impossible to become one of them, right? So you're kind of like, man, well, I could never be that, like, these guys, they don't come from where I come from, so when you actually see somebody like us pull something off that's similar to what we looked up to, then that becomes so powerful, because now we make it more like, oh man, well, that guy did it, and shit, he's from my same hood, or
yeah,
he has the same upbringing.
Yeah.
So now we created that, what we had as role models, we're creating that now with this generation, so, but we were able to pick that up and utilize all that to put out a greater message, a greater purpose for all these youngsters, and even adults telling them it's not too late. It's not too late to look like one of them, take care of your body, go hustle the right way, go make that money, start believing in yourself. So we broke that limiting belief that a lot of people had, because that was like, to me, it was impossible, even though I looked up to him and looked, got every book and magazine that I could. It was still kind of like reaching for the stars, like,
for sure.
These guys are too like far of a reach for me to even like, and then you don't have no support, So the only people that supported you, it was like your homies, or you were like, fuck it, I'll go this route then, this route is like, it's cool. I mean, these are my people, and I mean, we do what we can, man, and just live life is what we called it, with no purpose. We're lost.
Yeah, we're chasing our own tail.
Absolutely.
So let me ask you this. How did you get into working out back then? Did you work out with some of the homies coming out of prison?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But they didn't know any better, and they weren't trying to teach you nothing. I know that I used to ask them, hey, how do you, these guys were coming up with some size, going in and out.
Yep.
They'll go in, shut out. Nowadays, oh man, people go in there, they come out worse, But back then, like in the 90s, growing up in the 90s, that was like a thing, It was like a badge of honor, getting busted and coming out looking on point.
Yes, it was.
And the thing is that, when I used to ask them, hey, what do you do to get that size? They're like, just eat and go work out, hit it, and that's it. I'm like, that's it. I go, yeah, man, just go handle business. It's just fucking like pretty much they ain't trying to explain nothing, man. They just go eat, go hit the workout, and pretty much go kill yourself. Make sure that hey, no excuses and no pain, no gain. That's it. That's what I heard all the time. No pain. Okay, that's it. So, I mean, obviously, we were gonna listen to them because they had the look, kind of like I wanted to look, but but that caused a lot of injuries. Like I tell everybody, I was pretty much taught and guided by the wrong people, you know, because they weren't taking their time. Maybe if they did know like a little bit more, they were not going to spend time there explaining to me, you know. It's like, go figure it out, man. Just go hit the weights.
Yeah. You know what's crazy too is like, I told my wife this, I go, I don't know what was in my head, but I was thinking like, well, fuck it. I'm going to do work on the streets, put in my work, earn my respect, and maybe I'll land in a penitentiary and I'll count my swole with respect. That was the mentality. I don't know if you had the same mentality too.
Back then. Well, back then, that's when I got introduced more like when I hit the halls, you know.
Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, juvenile hall. Yeah, I talked about it before. I don't really go really much into detail. As like I said, you know, I got a lot of people that are still in trouble, and we have a code of like, you know, not speaking on certain things. But yeah, what I did is like me throughout pretty much my teenage years, I was not out here. You know, like I said, I missed all of high school. I was not able to go to high school. I think I went to 9th grade for like 3 months, and then I got in trouble. And then once I got in trouble, I was never able to go back to high school. So I missed all that. I was already in back of my head, pissed off. I was angry. I didn't have a girlfriend because I wasn't, it wasn't like that long. As soon as I got out, I'd go back in. You know, as soon as I got out, people glorify that. You know, my homeboys, everybody, like they see you as like, oh shit, man, this guy went and did time. You're like, right? You know, they kind of pump you up more. You know,
they do.
And me as like, oh man, I'm not gonna do this no more. And here I go back again, like getting sucked in, draw into that lifestyle, and you get in trouble quicker now because now you already have a record. So now one little thing you're going back in. So it was just in and out until, like I said, 96 was the last time we're like, man, you know what, this is bullshit. Like, I don't even have like a life. Like I'm here dealing with fucking these idiots. It's like Thunderdome status. You know, everybody's against everybody in there. You know, raises, cards, different cards, meaning like cliques. You know, like you know, counties, and it was just it's a mess. You know, either you're gonna like bitch out or you're gonna put in some work, which you're gonna have to fight. You know, so there was no like, oh no, there was no structure there. You know, so I got sick and tired of it real quick, and like I said, I was like, I never experienced like a girlfriend for a long time. That was already like, okay, well, I had like none of that, and I wanted that. Yeah. You know, so that, and then, like I said, I missed all my high school years. I loved playing football. I wasn't able to play football. Same thing because of my grades, no money. When I remember when I asked my mom, when I first went to 9th grade, I went to Hell Week, and they were like, oh, man, you're good. I was going to play running back. And when I asked my mom, we needed money for equipment, they're like, I don't got no money. Like, what do you mean? Like, so it was kind of like a letdown, you know? So I was like, screw this. And then plus, my grades were like kind of like, they wanted me to do all kinds of shit to keep my grades up for me to be accepted, you know, in the team. But like I said, 3 months in, they picked me up, and that was it. I was never able to step on public high school. So wow. I was pretty much done with that.
So you had to learn your lesson the hard way, huh?
Yeah, and through all that, you know, I worked out, you know, because that's the first thing you do when you go in there. You have to like work out, got to program, keep in shape, do the diamond push-ups, all these little things that they had going on there. So when I got out, I was looking nice, in good health, shape. I cleaned myself because as I was growing up, you know, it was just it was bad because I was getting introduced to all these little like, you know, these little drugs that they had going on back then, which it was weed, speed, you know, whatever was cracking in the 90s, you know? And it was something that it was getting a hold on me. So like I said before, like there's no such thing as coincidence. I think everything happens for a reason. Yeah. So
I believe it.
You know, as I was slanging bud, which it was chronic back then, which it was about maybe 6,000 for a half an ounce, because it was expensive back then. When the chronic first came out.
What year was that?
That was maybe like in 93.
Okay.
I'll say like in 93.
Okay. I first seen it come around high school. I was probably around 15, 16. We called it Indo, because it used to hit us from up north. From anywhere from up north, meaning like Mendocino County, come to Frisco. We're like a hub. So when I first seen indoor, I was like, wow, what is this? And I remember they telling me.
Crazy, right?
The green, not the brown stuff. Not
the one that smashed. Yeah.
No, because I also, me too, I also sold bud in high school. I sold Mexican brick weed, basically, the cheap shit.
Yeah.
And then the green came around.
$1,000 for a pound.
Yeah,
it was going
cheap. Super cheap.
But it was about. So what year was that when you got right into that? Because I know I didn't see that till like Like, yeah, it was,
I was
must have been like
15.
in the 93, 94?
Yeah, I was 15, so I saw it around 1990, high school. I had some friends, some baller homies. I went to a continuation high school. I got kicked out of regular high school because my dumb ass was smoking weed on my freshman year, thinking I was cool, skipping class. Here I am, the cool kid, smoking like an idiot. I barely went to class, so I got booted out of that high school. Went to a continuation school called Downtown High in the Mission, and then I learned to basically be a criminal there. I learned to hustle. I learned the game. Like I told you, you said you roll with the Southerners.
Yeah.
Well, I rolled with the Northerners, but I also had Southside homeboys too that taught me how to hustle. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And back then, that cocaine crack game was taking off. So they showed me that game too.
Yeah.
So that was crazy. Looking back at it, it's like, man, I went to high school to really learn to be like a baller, you know?
I think in the 90s, that's when it got flooded, man, with all that, you know, all that shit. And, you know, a lot of us, we kind of use it towards our advantage to get our hustle on, you know?
Yes, of course.
And
I mean, we grew up poor.
Yeah.
So what do you want when you grow up poor? You want a car? You want better shoes, better clothes? How do you get the pretty girl? You got to impress her, right? And you got to look good. You got to take care of yourself. I've always been athletic. I played basketball, and I did work out a little bit. I did lift weights back then as well.
Yeah, it's funny how you said that because I think society, you know, everything, you know, like everything's a setup, I think, you know, because they were hitting all the communities, the lower class community with all that shit, you know.
Yeah.
It was flooded. Like all of a sudden it just started like happening. Everybody had
crazy.
it. And yeah, it was crazy.
It went nuts.
So after, you know, a while as I was growing up, I get to realize that, you know, to me it seems like everything's, you know, already like kind of pre-planned. I know, you know, I could, you know, go deep in the rabbit hole, but, you know, it's crazy, you know, how all this just evolve and shit, and it's just destroying ourselves, you know. So that's what we were doing, you know, it's just killing ourselves, you know, just giving it to the next man, you know, our own people, our own homeboys, you know. So,
true.
That didn't last for long though. Like I said, you know, once I kicked that off, you know, my mom already had it with me, so she couldn't really like get me in trouble or lock me up. So it was that day that she had found that and a couple other you know, things that I had hidden in my brother's room, which I, you know, he was good, the good man, the good guy, you know. So he was like my stash spot, you know. But as she went to wash his clothes, he found it and was like, huh, okay. So she called my PO. She was like, could you take them now? Like, I got evidence, you know. But I didn't know this was going on. Like, I didn't know I was still like, I was in high school, you know, I was in class.
How old were you?
I was maybe about 14, something like that. Yeah. 14. 13, yeah. I was barely freshman in high school. And this happened so fast because they picked me up from high school. And I didn't know what happened. What did I do? Like, I always, you know, kept myself pretty well put together because I was laced by some heavies OGs, you know, that kept me
put
sharp.
you on game.
Exactly.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, so I was like, what the fuck? I couldn't, like, figure it out, you know, but they took me in because they didn't trust me. I was already, you know, in probation. So, fuck, I was waiting for a month to court date. And once I went to, I was like, everybody in there, like, Mr. Know-It-All, they were like, oh, you're going to get out. It's your first time. Because I didn't know what I was in there for, but I knew that I had to wait for my court date. And but everybody's like, man, you didn't do nothing that serious, so you're going to get out. No, sure enough, back then, chronic, all that shit, like, in cocaine, all that shit was not, you know, it was a big offense.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so once they put that shit on the table, I was like, and my mom was right there in front of me in the courthouse. She was, you know, mean mugging, and I was like, oh shit, okay, now everything happened. Like, yeah, man, we're gonna max you out, man. You're done. You know, this is all we needed. So, and your mom's the one that turned it in. So, that's where it all started. You know, after that, it was like it was a good thing though, you know, because if I wouldn't have went through that, like, who would have known what happened? You know, I would have got, you know, sucked in more into, like, you know, just being a drug addict, you know, which a lot of my boys end up, you know, either, you know, washed up or they got caught up in doing life right now. You know?
Yeah. No, you're right. A lot of things have to happen in order to change yourself for the better, but you have to go through the fire. Mm-hmm. And it's crazy. It's like, you don't know, but your mother was just trying to help you.
Oh, she did. That's how she knew, you know. So I never, like, really, like there's people that point fingers, you know, these adults that, you know, they always blame, you know, the parents, their upbringing and all that. I mean, like I said, you know, all that, you know, I see it as, you know, it helped me to become the man that I am now. So I never really, like, you know, understand why a man would point fingers or say, oh, I was raised this way, or because my mom, because my dad, they treat me this way. Like, all this, victimizing, I just can't understand that, because I was beaten. I was, smacked around by my mom, like, violently because she was going through a lot herself. But throughout, me sitting and just, reading and talking to these wise men, they're like, you know what, that's all they knew, so they're, people's behavior, they're not their behavior, it's learned behavior. So, as I was growing up in the stories that I used to hear, that, my grandpa, he was a mean man, so,
same as mine.
Yeah. So, my mom being the first of like 10 kids back in the day, Mexican families have big
She's the first of 10?
Of 10.
Funny, my mom's the first of 6.
Yeah. So
and I'm the oldest.
And I'm the oldest. I'm the oldest cousin. That's funny. We have a lot in common.
And my mother was raised by her grandfather was a violent alcoholic.
Oh,
so
man.
She had a tough life in Costa Rica.
She did, and it gives me the goosebump because that's real. And she's like, your mom had it hard, She at 13, there was no schooling for her. She had to go help. She had to. Back in Mexico, we're broke. We didn't live in the city. We lived in the hills, they call it rancho. Like we lived like in the outskirts. Like you had to like kill. You had to like we're still like. You had to go, make your own food and have like, cattle and however grow your corn. And that's how she was raised. So she had to go help and pick the corn and none of this playful shit and being a kid.
Yeah.
So she had a hard life.
Yeah.
So that I put that into perspective. It's like, oh shit, like, like that's all she knows. That's how she knows how to, raise, her kids, because the way she was raised, so you become to understand an individual more once you know that, every, people's behavior it's learned behavior, they learned it from somewhere. So, we got to learn not to take it so personal, and we got to learn about what I talk about the most is forgiveness, forgiving people, for, being who they are, because
yes.
At the end of the day, we were not born bad people. We're not born to hurt people.
At some point in time, we're innocent kids.
That's something that, you pick up, by whoever raised you, whoever, the environment that you were in, whether, there were just people that were bad people, then that's what you're going to be, and it's something that it's learned, nobody put here on this earth to be, to hurt people just because. No, people get taught that, we get taught to hurt people. We get taught to, get backs. The way we were groomed and laced by the OGs. Hey, you better not let nobody fucking,
disrespect you.
Yeah, disrespect you like that, man. You better handle that shit. Like, that's just how we were taught. So any little thing that it triggers us, we're so reactive that, well, now we end up in a wreck by doing shit like that, But back then we don't know. We were just taught not to, not to let nobody disrespect you, man. And the way that you get your get backs is by showing them what he's not, So it's always going to be that who's that better man, who's that bigger alpha that they call it,
Yep.
And,
so true.
And you will run into those individuals that are sick with it too,
Oh yeah.
But then there's a lot that there's a lot of people that just talk, but those are the ones that get you in trouble, because as soon as you fucking smash them, they call the cops on you,
I know.
But that's how I started learning, like, controlling my emotions, my feelings, because at the end of the day, nobody wins. Even if you smash them, it still feels bad, like.
That's funny.
It does. That. You feel bad.
Me too. I've always been that way. I'll smash a kid, and I feel guilty after. Like, damn, I feel bad. I don't feel good. Felt good at the moment, but afterwards.
I think people that glorified all that, or that find that excitement, in violence, never really experience violence. They never really like fuck somebody up, hurt somebody, and put them in coma, or heard a man cry. You heard a grown man cry? Asking, to forgive them, to let them go, to give them another chance.
Oh, yeah, quite a few times.
That shit comes back and haunts you, man.
It does.
And a lot of
kids
fucking
too.
People do not they haven't experienced that, man. And that shit is torture. It's torture to me because, I feel bad. I feel bad even though, you might say he deserved it or he caused it for me to fucking take it to that level.
Yeah.
But it's something that it pains me because it's somebody's kid, it's somebody's father, and I take it as far as that, you know, where I take it to that extreme where like it holds me from fucking like getting out of character and letting my anger take over, man, because that's one of the things that I still gotta, you know, that I work on, you know, controlling my anger, because that's kind of like a habit that I have. Like we all have these issues, you know.
Yeah.
And some of these negative emotions that we have, you can't get rid of, but you could control it, you know, like,
Yes.
okay, you know, using the tools that we have as fitness, eating better, you know, being able to like sit and think before you react, you know, and that's something that even my kids, as I teach it, as I coach others to do the same, you know, I still slip sometimes, you know, and I hear it like right away from my wife, my kids, like, hey man, like what's up with that patience? Well, you know, you're talking about patience. What's up with that anger? You know,
Yeah.
I mean that mentality, like, you know, like real quick, like reactive, you know. But that's something that, you know, like we were talking earlier, is something that you got to work on daily.
Yeah.
Waking up in the morning and what's your job, not breaking character. Whatever you're struggling with, whatever you have trouble with, that should be your, you know, your job to overcome every day as you get better and better and better until you master it.
Yeah. And you think by getting older it goes away, but it's embedded in us. It's just the way we're brought up, raised, the streets. You done time, I done time, and you know, being in the behind the fence is the minute someone disrespects you, it's takeoff time. Just know we're going to talk about it and say, we're going to take off right there and then. Let these dudes know I ain't the one. You know what I mean?
Exactly. See, exactly. And that mentality is that what we have to be able to control, you know, because like we just talked about, you know, nobody wins, you know.
No.
Even if you smash them, either if, you know, if they get you, you're not gonna be cool about it, you know. Then this is my get backs, you know. It never ends, you know, and it just escalates. You make it worse, you know. So I always try to like diffuse it. A lot of people ask me, well, then, you know, you're around everywhere, you go everywhere, you know. But do they look at you? Do they dog you? I mean, sometimes, you know, when you run into individuals, you get that vibe. You know, I know how to read people.
Yeah.
And I also know how to, you know, like what kind of energy they have, you know. I've been taught, you know, how to read, you know, just body language, you know, and shit like that. If I fucking connect eyes with this fool, he's about it, man. So I already know, I sense it, you know, in him, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm able to diffuse a lot of shit like that. But then sometimes, you know, you got to be ready for it too, you know, because some people, they're
looking
not
for it.
there. Yeah, they're looking for it.
It's like they want to test their manhood still.
They do.
And especially see old guys like us think, oh, he's just over the hill with tattoos. Like, hey, listen, man, like I told you earlier, I don't go brag about it. I don't go show off. I don't even post it online too much, but I've been training Muay Thai and boxing for a long time. I didn't get into it because I want to go fight people. I wanted to get into it because I want to learn a new art and to channel my anger and to calm myself. You know what I'm saying? Because I know I had anger issues. I know I could snap at it like that quick. I'm an impulse. I have ADHD, so I can go off quick. And I'm sure you got that about you too, where you got to check yourself. Like you said, it's a daily battle. We got to control your emotions and control your anger, whatever it is. It's not like we're angry people. It's just the environment where we come from. It's been embedded in us, you know, from we're little. Yeah. So it's hard to get rid of that.
It is. You said, man, that's a new word that I haven't heard in a long time. Embedded in us. It is. So it's something that it like I tell people, like they're like, fuck, well, how do you get rid of anger? Like, you're not gonna get rid of it because it's embedded. It's instilled in you. I call it, it's instilled in us.
Yes.
You know, from, you know, just growing up. You know, that's how you were groomed. That's how you were raised. But our job is to get better at it and diffuse it, you know, right in the moment, because when we react, that's when everything just goes to shit. You know, all hell breaks loose. You know. In that second, you know, you got to be able to have that fucking, like, whatever you use to hold your composure, to remind yourself, like, okay, you know what, this is a test right now. This is a test. And let me check myself.
For
because,
sure.
It's not going to end well. It's not going to end well. And it's a battle that sometimes it comes unexpected, you know. So it's like, oh, shit, man, I kind of fail, you know. And it could be the smallest things. It could be, you know, getting out of character with my kids, something, you know, like that they're joking. And I'm like, you know, I had something. They're like, man, it's not that deep. That they have these new words that they say. It's not that deep.
I've heard that many times. Not that deep.
And I was like, what? You know, but
they talk different than we did in our generation.
But I'm like, yeah, you know. So I kind of check myself on that, man, because we're still like a walking ticking bomb, you know. But
So let me ask you this: does your wife have to check you?
Same thing.
Me too.
Yeah. Oh man.
Especially on the road. If I get cut off, I've been doing better with that. I've been pricing. People come me off, I just breathe and let it go. But before I want to like chase them and like motherfucker, you cut me off, I get all angry, disrespecting me.
Yeah.
But now I'm just like,
just so I could lock eyes on them and fucking put them in his place. Yeah, it's just like, you know, it's a problem that we have. But it's about controlling it. You know, controlling your emotions, controlling, you know, that
keeping the Hulk at bay.
And exactly.
Keeping the inner Hulk. You know, the Hulk wants to come out and smash.
And as we're coaches, and I know that, you know, my wife, she hears all my conversations, me. My Zoom calls with my coaches every Sunday, and I speak about patience. I speak about, you know, always having these fail saves, you know, these reminders of, you know what, think before you act. And, oh, man, they're the ones that throw it at me real quick as soon as I get out of character. Like, well, you just talk about patience, man. Like, you know, so we hear it the most, you know, because they're so close to us that they remind us, you know, it's like what happened. But like I said, it's human nature for some of us, you know, because there is those other people that are compassionate, they're patient, they're understanding, but that's them.
They're docile.
Yeah, and sometimes
they're chill. They're not non-confrontational.
Yes, and sometimes they got to be working on the other side of being more assertive, more aggressive, more stern with self. Don't let yourself be a pushover. So it's a balance with both ends. Yeah. Us, it's like, hey, man, you got to come the fuck down, you know, like a little bit, man, you know, like, you know, it's you know, or else you're going to lose it, you know? So.
Yeah, like my father, he's very, I wouldn't say docile or a pushover, but he's very chill, relaxed, right? He doesn't let shit get to him. But my mother, on the other hand, she ain't no joke. Like, my mother put hands on me. She put that leather belt to work on me, you know what I'm saying? So I used to say, like, she actually trained me for the streets because none of these kids could beat me harder than my mother beat me with that leather belt. So I would just take it out on them.
Oh, that's,
So I'm sure you know that feeling, man. Right? Like, okay, if these kids can't hurt me, my mother hits me harder than these kids with the belt. I'm gonna walk right through these kids. I'm gonna run right through them, and I steamroll through them. Once my temper went, it was over.
That's funny how you said that, because I said that on my last podcast. I go like, when these kids, they're like, how were you in throughout junior high and all the high school, a little bit that I went, I'm like, fuck, man, none of these. But my mom toughened me up because she whooped my ass. Like, she had already broke me mentally and physically. You know?
Facts.
Yeah, like this shit ain't nothing. You know, it was a breeze to me. And then when I was at Juvenile Hall with all these knuckleheads and people that were kind of like the same, you know, had the same mentality as me, already broken, coming from a broken family. It was like, fuck, well, we're the same, big dog. What's up? You know, like, we're going to get at it, you know? So it was easy for me in that sense because she had already did all that damage. And it came from somebody that, you know, that we will see it as like, well, she should love me, she should protect me, you know. But it was like that
tough
love, hard love. Like, this is all I know how to discipline your ass, you know. So sit your ass down, because I'm gonna get the extension cord and whoop your ass because they called me, you know, from work to come pick you up because you got in trouble. Oh, it was on. I already knew. Like, when she got a call, like, it was gonna be an ass whooping, man. Because, you know, it disrupted her money that she was trying to make, her day at work, and it was coming, man. So
that's funny. I think too, though, because it sounds like your mother had a very hard upbringing, as my mother did. So I think, especially if they had a hard father, is a lot of that's pain. They're in pain.
It is,
and they're taking their pain out. My father wasn't. He wasn't. I don't want to say he wasn't around, but he was working a lot. You know, Latino dads, they got to be out working 10 hours a day trying to bring the chicken home, the money home, the bread home, you know, to feed the family. So my mother had to raise us, you know what I'm saying? He was in our life, you know what I'm saying? My father wasn't on, but he was working all the time. So my mother had to be the disciplinary. And I think a lot of that, after I got older and learned more about her and about my grandfather being a violent alcoholic, and he used to beat her and her sisters, and part of that was just built the pain inside of her. She's just releasing that pain onto us, the kids. She didn't know any better. You know, that was a learned behavior from her father.
Learned behavior, yes, it is. You know, and since they bottle all that inside, like that, I seen it that, you know, that was the only way that she could probably like release some of it. You know,
exactly.
Of her frustration, the pain, the anger that she had, you know, within, you know, her own relationship, as you know, that she had with my stepdad, and then her upbringing, everything just bottle up inside, you know. At a certain point, you're gonna take it out on someone, you know. So,
exactly.
So sometimes, well, hey, come here, man. You know, that's it, man.
I'm sure you want to do that to your kids when they're little. Come here, I'm I'm gonna give you a hand here, you know.
It was, but I kind of like me, like it was opposite because I said to myself, you know, as I was growing up, because I did want a family. You know, who doesn't want a family? Who doesn't want kids? I wanted all that, and it always stuck in back of my head because I told myself that I would do exactly the opposite of what my dad did to me. Which, you know, I don't know my dad. I never knew him. I never met him, and that was like, yeah, you know, I instilled that in me. So I'm like, I'm gonna do the opposite with my kids. So that kind of helped me my upbringing to kind of like be the opposite with my kids.
Break the cycle.
Break
like
the
you
cycle,
said earlier.
because I put them on sports since they were little. Like since they were little, it's almost like I did kind of like a mistake, and I did a YouTube video about it, about not trying to live, you know, through your kids. You know, like everything that I miss. I'm like, you guys gonna do, man, because I didn't have it. So you guys, you know, but it was good because I kept them, you know, active. I kept them like busy. And I was always around, you know, I was always around. Like when I could, I'll pull up at school, make sure everything, you know, that people there knew who I was and my presence was made, you know? So I got fathers, parents of like their friends saying like, oh yeah, we remember you used to pull up there with your fucking lowrider, you know, any whip that I had, I always had like some like status. Yeah, I always had status.
Okay.
You know, I always pull up correct because that's how I was groomed and raised.
Yes.
So I always made my presence known. And even when they were in high school, man, I'm like, man, I got more friends here than you do at your high school. When my son played football, you know, and everybody like, hey, what's up, Mr. Enriquez? You know, how you doing? Like, I'll take sports drinks. I'll take them out to eat pizza.
You were very active.
Yeah, well, every time that I had a chance, because I drove trucks for 19 years, so every time, like, I wanted to be involved in all that because I didn't have that. So that pushed me to, like, I told myself, I'm not going to, you know, I'm going to do the opposite of how I was raised, you know? So I was always, like, try to be there, but my job kind of kept me, like, almost like, just, like, it forced me, like, to hustle because that was the only thing that I knew that made good money because I was already, you know, like, out of all that bullshit. So truck driving paid well. You know, and when I got into truck driving, I didn't know that, you need experience. I had to go out of state to gain my experience. I had to work long hours. Once you clock in, who knows when you're going home, you had to finish it. So I used to...
You got to get the load there.
Yeah, so it was like kind of frustrating, but I used to like just suck it up because I wanted to bring, you know, a better life, you know, to my kids and them. So, but every time that I had a chance or I had a day off, like I'll be at their games or I'll be, so supportive and I'll try to like give as much back, you know, like, hey, we'll take, you guys win, man, I'm buying everybody pizza, you know, like, you guys better put in that work. Like I used to go and pump, you know, the coaches and the teammates, you know, when I could. But like I said, you know, I worked a lot of hours and I worked almost like around the clock. So it was difficult for me, you know, to be there all the time.
So it sounds like you put them in sports, keep them busy, but also keep them away from the lifestyle that me and you grew up around as well.
Oh, absolutely. Because one thing we knew now is like, you know, they were not gonna, you know, outsmart us. You know, like
no,
there was no way.
They think they could be slick, but no, we've been there, done that.
Yeah, so that kind of like helped me because I was involved. So I already knew I was not gonna let them slip. I was not gonna let them drift. I was always involved. Like it was happening was, you know. So that's why I said every time that I could pull up at school and see who their friends, you know, were, and
yes, very important.
To see me, you know, that was important to me. So I was kind of like trying to like cover every angle, you know, that I knew that, oh shit, you know, I gotta pull up there, man. Let them know what's up, you know. That don't try to fucking draw my kid in and shit, you know, because you know I know what's up, big dog.
Yeah, if you see some OGs around, like, hey, what up? This ain't your kid, dog. It's my kid, so don't play that shit with me.
Yeah. So I had no issues with that, you know, especially coming from you know, someone that's been groomed and laced, you know, and you know, read people and environment and groups. You know, it's easy for us, you know, to pinpoint a problem, or if we see something that doesn't sit well, address it. Because I had to address a lot of shit before with little things that I seen. And it bothered me. I went and either like talked to whoever I needed to talk to, but I made it known that, hey, it's not happening here.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. So let me ask you this. So after you got out of doing time and going through all that knucklehead phase, how old were you when you finally said, you know what, the street shit ain't for me no more? Like I'm past this. I want to become a better man. I want to do something for myself. When did you realize that? How old were you?
I was going to turn 18, you know,
Okay.
because when I first, you know, like I said, when I first stepped out in 96, the last year, I went back to adult school, which I was trying to like find something to do.
Yeah.
So I was like, fuck, I wanted to be like a certified trainer, you know, back then. So,
Oh, did you?
So I tried to go back and finish, you
wow.
know, but I was like, man, you know what? This is going to take a long time, man. But I met my wife, her sister she knew me from high school. So I seen her there because she was trying to catch up on credits. And I told her, hey, hook me up with one of your friends, you know? And she's like, you know, because I wanted love, you know, I wanted a girlfriend, you know.
Yes. You missed out on all that.
Yeah, I missed out on all that. So she's all like, oh, I'll introduce you to my sister. And I'm like, let me see a picture, you know. So
That's funny.
yeah, so she showed me a picture and I go, all right, hook it up, you know, like.
Yeah.
And I went and she hooked it up and I had a car back then because I hustled real quick. I pulled up on a car, you know, like I said, always been a hustler. So I always had money with me. And at that time I was, you know, I had a car. I didn't have my license yet, but I was already working towards that. Like I said, this was it. And I met my wife, Stacy, you know, shout out to her. And that was
Shout out
you know?
Stacy.
Yeah, that was it, man. You know, the thing is that it was like, kind of like, she was ready for it too. You know, she did her thing, you know, when she was growing up also, not like I did, but she, you know, she wanted a family also.
Yeah.
So when two and two meet and they think alike and they want the same, you know,
wow.
that right there, that bond, that love that was created, it was like mutual and equal because she was ready. In most relationships, one of them wants the family and the other one ain't ready.
Yes.
So we kind of both did, and that's why, you know, we did everything like the way it was supposed to be. Like I was with her, I was dating her. Then we got married. We had a big old wedding, invited a lot of people. Like, you know, we were like the first ones that actually did something like kind of like the right way I would say, instead of like just trying to like, okay, fuck, well, we got a kid, we got to go get married now, you know, like, you know, so
got married first.
Yeah, we got married, and then my boy, you know, so we started a little family, you know, and that's what kind of kept me in check because, you know, when I met her family, they were like more like family orientated, you know, like the kind of like the American way, even though they were like Hispanic, her pops was the OG also from East LA. So he was already like,
he was laced up and gamed and then some.
So he took me under his wing, and we kind of like, I seen him like a father figure to me because he went to the army also to get away from that lifestyle, but he was raised like that with like just
deep in the hood,
you know, and all his brothers as well. So I landed in a good family because he was very wise and very well
kept you on the right path.
Exactly, and taught me about, you know, more, even like groomed me more because, you know, that's what he did to get away. He was in the military, and I remember when he used to go, he was still active, so I used to go over there and he used to be like, hey, I'm gonna take off for the weekend, you know, take care of the family, you know, like leave me in charge. Like, you know, me and him clicked right off the back, man, you know. So I seen him, rest in peace, and I seen him like a father figure to me because I never had him. And he kind of like they took care of me, man. Like I never had a birthday before, you know, and my wife's the first one. Well, she was my girlfriend. She threw my first birthday, you know, my
crazy.
I was gonna be 21. She threw me a 21 birthday, and I invited my friends and everybody. It was like a surprise, and they were like, "What the hell is this?" You know, because I wasn't used to that. Like I didn't celebrate none of that. You know, she was the first one that threw a birthday party for me, you know, which, like I said, it was cool, you know, and barbecues and all the holidays. Like I was not ever introduced to no Christmas, Thanksgiving, I didn't know none of that shit. Growing up, like my mom didn't do none of that. You know, we never like participated in none of that. I seen it through my friends, through them, you know, but I was like, well, how come we don't do it? Like, oh, we don't do that. We don't celebrate Christmas. And they didn't have the means. And then later on, her religion kind of like, they didn't celebrate none of that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that was like another like icing on the cake. We really ain't going to see no Christmas, no birthdays. They don't celebrate none of that stuff.
Damn.
Yeah.
What religion, if you don't mind me asking?
Jehovah's Witness.
Funny, I have an aunt who is Jehovah's Witness hardcore, and she recruited me for a little, or tried to. Had a dude come over and teach me. I was a teenager, but I was like, you know what? this shit is boring, man. I want to be outside with my friends. So I said, nah, I'm done with this. I lasted like a week or two, and I quit. Like, I'm not with this. And again, I found out they don't celebrate birthdays, Christmas.
No.
I'm not with that.
No, and she didn't do it like even before when she wasn't, because we just didn't, have the means for it.
Yeah.
Like she was not gonna go out of her way to throw no damn birthday party with the cake and all that shit that they do here.
Yeah.
So and then after a while was when she got introduced to that church, because like I said, what she was going through, and that person that actually went and knocked in the door that time and day, kind of they connected, and she felt them, and she was finding somebody too. She was finding help. So they came in at the right time, and she got really like into that church.
Deep,
She's still into it. Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys got married at a young age?
Yeah. I don't want to fuck it up right here, but our anniversary is going to be April 29th, because she's going to hear this podcast. And we're going to be married. We've been together 28 years.
Wow. Mm-hmm. That's a long journey
and
together,
Mary,
man.
Shit, I don't want to set up. 20, it's going to be 24. Yeah, 24.
It's a lifetime, man.
Yeah, or might be 27. 27 years together. Yeah, I don't want to mess it up, man. Don't ask me this question right now, man.
He's like, I can't think of it.
She's going to be like, what? Yeah, but our anniversary is coming up, April.
So let me ask you this. So you were a truck driver for a while. Mm-hmm. You got into truck driving. Did you enjoy that? How'd you like that?
Well, man, so when I was trying to go back to school, that didn't happen, because I was like, I got to work, man. I got to make money. This shit ain't going to cut it.
Yep.
So I went to work for a company called Nelson Nutraceutical, which they made protein bars back then. Remember Mileplex?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Jenny Craig. Okay, well, I was working where they made all those bars. So we used to get all that, like the protein powder, Coca-Cola, all that shit that they used to do. Well, I was a loader. I used to load trucks. They had the whole warehouse back there, the production, the manufacturer, all that. If you had a bar that you wanted to throw out there, they used to go and do it, white label and shit.
Yeah.
So they used to do it for you, and that's when one of
90s.
One of my boys was like, "Hey, man, fuck, you could be a truck driver, man. We get paid fucking good money,
Oh yeah, and back then too.
I was loading trucks. Yeah, so back then, truck driving was like the shit, because they didn't require a high school diploma.
Nope.
They didn't really want you didn't have to be that smart, So just get your Class A license. So I did that. I was working there at Nelson's for like a year, and I was going to a trucking school, and I got my license, and that was it. But what gravitated me to that was because it was the good money, because he was like, hey, I'm bringing like $1,500 a week. $1,500 a week back then, it was
back then
money.
In the 90s?
Yeah, it was good
$1,500 is probably like $5,000 of today.
Yeah, so I was like, what?
For sure.
And he was already in the verge to buy a house. I'm like, oh shit, man, I'm gonna do that. But so that kept me there. It kept me there for a long time, and it kind of it threw me off from like really going after my purpose, that what I thought that I was gonna be. Like I wanted to be like a trainer, like work at Bally's. Remember Bally's back then?
Yeah.
Bally's, yeah. So,
I remember Bally's.
Yeah,
yes.
I wanted to do something with fitness, because I always liked sports, so I like fitness.
You like working out.
Yeah, so that's why I went and worked for that company that was making protein bars. But that was it, man. That's how I started my trucking, because of the money. We're always chasing the money.
Always.
And that keeps us a lot of us, it keeps us from really like finding your purpose, because you're there actually for the paycheck, and it keeps you comfortable enough for you to like survive and have a good life. But it kind of like it kind of like throws you away from like really finding what you're good at,
Your true purpose.
Yes.
Okay, so you did truck driving. How long did you do that for?
19 years.
19 years. All right, now let's fast forward to today. What made you get out of truck driving? What finally said, you know what, I don't want to do this no more?
Oh, man. I mean, obviously, 19 years, my body was taking a toll on me. I did minor investments with my cousin real quick, and like I said, throughout that, I was already working into more of like finding myself, Like I said, I was still like I reached to a point. I was 38 years old. I reached to a point where I was like, man, like, fuck, this is it. Is this all like I'm gonna do? Is that, is this it for me? Like, there's nothing else. Like I wanted to like do something else. Like I was still like not at ease. I was still like engaging in bad behavior, like kind of like going backwards, you know. So I started reading more personal development.
Engaging in bad behavior, like what? What were you doing?
Drinking more, eating more, like, you know, like kind of like getting too comfortable.
Like a
you know?
truck driver.
Exactly.
Typical
you know?
look. They eat, do drugs, and drink.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I was like, wait a minute here. Like, fuck, I don't feel good. I don't look good. This ain't me. Like, you know, what happened to the old me? Like, you know, my discipline was going out. Like, fuck, I look like a slob now. You know, like sloppy. I felt not good. So I knew I had to do something about it. So like I said, I started, you know, reading. I started listening to a lot of like podcasts and a lot of things to do with personal development and mindset, changing your mindset, shifting your mindset.
Yeah.
Just a lot of like, you know, internal work.
Yeah.
You know, which it also, you know, like I said, it was all new to me. You know, that was like not like something that I really knew, but I knew that I had the wanting to, you know, learn more, because I was seeing people like, you know, succeed, you know, but when I go and ask them, hey, how'd you do it? Like, they didn't really bother like explaining to you. It's kind of like, oh yeah, it just happened. Like, kind of like, go kick rocks, go find it yourself shit, you know?
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people don't like to pass on information.
No,
they're greedy with it.
Yeah.
You're right.
And like I said, once when I ran into my coach, that actually, you know, that is somebody that I vibe with and that I click with, and that kind of had the similar background, even though we're not from the same, you know, race. I was like, oh, I'm gonna hit him up. You know, he looks on point. He looks like he knows what he's doing. You know, and he was talking personal development. You know, a lot of like, you know, working on yourself, having the self-love, self-worth. And, you know, he was providing a service, you know, to get you right mentally, physically, spiritually, you know. So once I hit him up, and it was pretty much a wrap, you know.
So what year was this, and how long ago was that?
That was 2019.
2019. And the name of this individual is?
Wes
Watson. Shout out Wes Watson. We talked about that. You were one of his first coaching clients?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So once you saw his story like I did, and we both vibe like, okay, we're not of the same race, but he's been behind the fence like we have, grew up similar, drugs, self-destruction, all that. We vibe with it. And you vibed with him, reached out to him, and then he laced you up with everything.
Yeah, with how to, you know, eat, you know, properly, the macros that I never heard of before, you know, and mainly like, you know, like what he was talking about that I was reading already, but I was reading it from these individuals that I didn't really like, had nothing in common. Yeah, and that's the problem, that these people that are speaking on a lot of this, you know, like mindset, you know, personal development, self-improvement, you know, it's hard to relate with. So when you hear like an individual like you, like me, like, and then the masses is pretty much like more like of us that are going to be able to connect with you better. So that's what happened to me with that, you know, because it was that he came from the same background. It wasn't the stories, all these war stories. That shit didn't intrigue me, because I've been around all that.
Exactly.
It was the mindset, and then the way he was articulating the message is what got me, because I was already like reading about it, but I was reading it from these individuals that were kind of like, I didn't really like. It kind of went one ear out the other, because there was like, I mean, they you know.
You weren't really feeling it.
No, I wasn't.
I know what you mean.
Yeah. No, it wasn't. They're great guys, though.
Don't get me wrong. For sure.
Tony Robbins, Ed Matlett, all these guys, they're good. You know, they're good people, but it's just I wasn't connecting with them. So this guy, you know, like I said, Wes was speaking the same language, and he had the results. So then I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna hit someone up that I could, you know, relate with, and that could understand, you know, where I'm coming from. You know? And that was it. It was game over, man, because once I tapped into that and I had a blueprint, I'm a guy that executes it. Once you give me something to do, I'm not going to question it. I'm just going to go, okay, what do I got to do? Or am I run it in?
Yeah. So once you learn macros, got yourself right, then you took it a step further.
Yeah. Because, I mean, like, results are a proven example of what you know, whether it's financially, whether it's being a family man, whether it's aesthetics, whether it's like, you know, just being healthy or you know, anything that you know, results are it's what matters, you know, and that's what people seen in me. So once my transformation was out there, it spread like wildfire, and I was getting hit up a lot. So it kind of clicked in my head, like, oh man, you know what, I could do this too. Like, if he's doing it, like, why can't I do it?
Exactly.
You know? So it was like, you know, like, shit, man. maybe this is my calling, you know, and that's exactly what I did. I go, hey, Big Dog, could you show me what you did or how to do it, how to set up my coaching, you know, online business? He's like, sure, fuck yeah, you're going to kill it because there's a lot of people, you know, that need that and your people need it. You know, he told me exactly like that, you know, your people need it. And I haven't seen individual that's doing it out there where, you know, you could take your spot.
Yeah.
You know, so he threw that out there. And once he said that, even though he like kind of like said it real like kind of too good to be true, because you were like, oh man, you're gonna kill it. You're marketable. You got the results. You got the knowledge. You ain't stopping. Oh, this shit's yours. I'm like, fuck, like.
Is he selling me some bullshit? Or is he a salesman?
Yeah, but not in that way, because obviously I had already worked with them for 2 years, so I already was ingrained of that warrior mindset that I attained throughout my journey, you know. So it just sounded like, oh man, this guy like fuck, like he just like lit up, you know, when I told him that. And sure enough, once I fucking, you know, had the blueprint and I actually put it out there, you know, it was just it rained, you know. I was ready for it, you know. So
basically, he got your mind right, got you away from your vices, got you eating better, got you with the love of the gym again, and believing in yourself.
Yeah, believe. Yeah, that's what it is. Believe that you could also do it too.
Wow, that's crazy. Just you went from 19 years truck driving, bored of that, and then the trainer thing. I keep reading the trainer thing, keep coming back to you like this is just meant to be, and just so happened you follow this dude, you like this message, reached out to him, and then he flipped you, and then you're like, I want to learn and teach people how to do this.
Yes.
And now your purpose is doing that, because I think what I see a lot of online is people talk about macros, training. But you can't fix somebody until they fix themselves. Mm-hmm. And you got to start with, okay, how's your household? How are you internally? You know, what's your life like? Before you start trying to flip yourself aesthetically, you got to find out what's going on with you. Because it's like we talked earlier, a lot of guys got a lot of shit going on upstairs.
Yeah, it's the root cause, you know, the root of the problem, which is, you know, whatever, you know, is blocking you from pushing forward, you know, because there's a lot of people that are fit, but they're still broken, you know, they still have that inside of them, you know, and it's a lot of healing, you know, there's a lot of healing there that needs to be done, you know, with whatever you're holding on to. That's one of the reasons why a lot of people cannot find their true purpose. And it's a lot of like, you know, pretty much is forgiveness, man. Forgiveness, because they're holding on to a lot of shit that happened in the past.
Yes.
That's been one of the, you know, main factors that I found in a lot of people that I'm helping, that they always have something that's holding them back that happened in the past.
Yep.
And it has, you know, to do with a lot of resentment, a lot of guilt, a lot of anger towards, you know, whoever burned them, a lot of hurt. All these 5 negative emotions that I talk about, it's what, you know, which a lot of people are experiencing more than one. It's what's stopping you from pushing forward in life.
Yeah, it's holding them back. They're like, I like what we talked about Joe Rogan, and I always tell you, like, I follow his lead. Basically, he does cold showers, cold therapy. He says it's non-negotiable. He must work out. He's a rich man. He doesn't need to work out. He already has daughters. He's married. He's a successful man. But I must work out for my mental health. I must do the things that I love in life, because you have to maintain a sense of happiness internally with yourself. So you have to do these things. And I always tell you, got to do the hard things in life. You can't make it easy, because that's what's happening today. I'm seeing too many people want to cheat their way through life and do too much easy things and not face it head on.
Absolutely. They're trying to avoid the struggle, and you can't. You know, the thing is that, you know, people are like, dude, I really have to feel discomfort, you know, for change. I go, absolutely, man. It's 100%. Not just going to happen like that. No, you have to face some kind of discomfort, or even that if you're having such an easy life, some kind of inflicted adversity within yourself, which is, you know, doing what's hardest. You know, whatever is hardest for you to do, it's not necessarily that you have to hit rock bottom or something tragic has to happen for you to change.
Yeah.
But you could inflict, you know, adversity in a sense of like, you know, just challenging yourself, you know, adding more now, you know, like, okay, you master this, move on to the next, you know, always, you know, bettering yourself in all areas, you know, in all areas of life. We have so much work to do, you know, here that, you know, it's just inflicting your own adversity, you know, because a lot of people are too comfortable. They're like, well, nothing's happening. Like, I'm comfortable. But are you really comfortable? No, there's something there still that obviously, you know, you want better, but they just don't know where to get it.
No.
You know, they don't know how to get it. You
True.
know, and it starts with you.
Yes.
You know, it all starts with you. You know, you could, you know, the best gift you could give yourself is, you know, self-love, you know?
Yeah. And a lot of people also for some reason, I don't know if it's this error or what, a lot of people can't hold themselves accountable. They really can't tell themselves. I tell them this, you see, go look at the mirror. Are you happy with what you see in the mirror? Are you truly happy with the guy you see in the mirror? Be honest with yourself. Don't say, yeah, I'm comfortable, I love myself. No, you're not. So stop lying to yourself. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people lying to themselves. They don't want to admit it for whatever reason. I don't know if it's this error or what, but people are, just, like you said, just too comfortable. They don't want to fix themselves.
A lot of times it's just a lot of, it's a cop-out that they use because they know that there's work to be done and you have to put in the work. It's not going to come easy. But society has a lot of people just too much entertainment going around, too much comfort, too much patting in the back, too much, hey, you're okay, too much, hey, you know what, you don't have to do that, you don't have to look this way. It's too much like, okay, like there's two choices, but everybody's choosing the path of less resistance. Why? Because they don't want to put in the work. It's just the bottom line. You could do it, you just don't want to do it.
Yeah. So what are the tips you give some of your clients, your people, like as far as like giving up their vices, go to bed, get up early, drink more water, just getting on a better schedule?
Well, if you want, a lot of times it's just going to be, putting something in the line of a greater purpose or something that's going to hold you accountable, which most people, it should be yourself, right?
Yeah.
But we're good liars, so that sometimes it's not going to work. So what's going to work is putting your family, your kids, somebody that's going to remind you of, I'm doing it for them. So it has to be something that's powerful, that's going to slap you in the face, because if you're engaging in bad behavior, if you're still doing what you're doing, then guess what's going to happen to your kids? The same pattern is going to keep going, And I really push that a lot because, you don't feel good. So do you want your kids feeling the same way when they reach your age? Because that's exactly what they're going to do. Very rare they will choose the other path. It has happened, but most of the time, one of them is going to follow suit.
Yes.
And it's going to be your ass. It's going to be because of you. Because you kind of like led them throughout, your actions to kind of like, well, you know what? Well, my dad did it, so he drank, he did this, he did that, it's just, it started here. So if you stop that and change that, obviously as they grow older, they're going to have their own decisions, their own choices, but it didn't start here with you, which is not going to be in back of your conscience. Well, fuck, man, I had the first beer with my son, man, and I actually then it turned into a weekend thing, you know? Fuck, then it turned into every other day having a beer with my son. Fuck, I kicked it off. Yeah. So that's what I...
And it's crazy is these fathers don't want to, like, take accountability. I always hear, too, a lot of times as fathers, I'll die for my kids. I'll die for my kids. Okay. Good for you. I believe you. But why don't you say you'll live for your kids? Why don't you say I'll do better for my kids? Why don't you say I want to grow older so I could be a grandfather, have energy, and play with my grandkids? Their mindset is way off. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. I tell them you're lying. And they're like, how am I lying? I go, because your action shows otherwise. Yep. You're telling me you love them, but you don't love them. They're like, well, how could you say that? You don't know. And I go, yeah, I do know because your actions speak otherwise. Yeah. And they still don't get it. Like, I'm like, do you understand what you're saying right now? You say you love them, but you're doing the opposite of what love is. If you really love them, you're going to show how you love them through action, through your actions. It's not just you waking up in the morning and say, hey, I love you, son. Okay, you're going to show them through your actions that you love them. See, love is just a verb. People, they use that as like, oh, it's something that comes out of your mouth. Hey, I love you. I love you, son. Like, take what I'm giving you. Yep. You're like, what the fuck? What are you really giving them? Like, what is it? You're giving them a rite of passage? Are you giving them, something to live for? Like through your belief. You can't tell your son, your kids that they could be something that you ain't being. Like, oh, you could be the greatest. But are you showing them that you're being the greatest of what you could actually do yourself?
I always say that, like, listen, it all starts in the household. It starts with the leader, the man. The man's supposed to be the leader. So guess what? If you're not drinking, you're exercising, you're living righteously and doing all the things in life, chances are your kids are going to follow suit, in your direction. I have a friend right now. He used to be big time in a cocaine addict, hardcore into drinking, gave all that up, had a daughter. Now he's doing burpees in the garage, working out. She's trying to do burpees and work out with him. He's eating everything with protein. Guess what? She's eating everything he's eating. So she's following into his footsteps just without even forcing her. She's just doing it. He said, monkey see, monkey do. And I'm like, yep, exactly. People don't understand that, especially fathers for some reason. Mothers get it more, but fathers, they don't get it. It flies over their head. They think drinking booze and football Sunday is cool and you're showing your son this and that. Well, guess what? It's going to fall into your footsteps.
Yeah, absolutely. And you said something right now that, maybe that's why it's a cop-out for them and it's an excuse, because I heard that a lot when they say, well, you know what? Sometimes they'll end up making their own decisions, later on, well, no shit. That's like I said, but we're giving them like a better rite of passage, a hope. You're showing them like, there's a better way. I'm not guaranteeing you that they're going to stay like that. Obviously, if they're, surrounding themselves by bad influences, sometimes that shit pulls them. But it's your job to lead by example, hoping and wishing and and that they get it, and they choose that path.
Yes.
Other than them drifting away where you're like, because a lot of people use that. They were like, but they end up doing what they want anyways.
Yes.
So that means that you're giving up then. So in other words, you're just choosing your pleasures, your wants, because you're already predicting what they're gonna choose. Like, you're already like predicting their future. Like, well, they don't listen anyways. You get these fucking nails that they're like, well, they're already like kind of like, they don't even listen to me. So why am I changing? So see how the kind of behavior they have, what kind of mentality they have is so stupid and so fucking immature.
Yeah. So I want to hit on something though before we wrap this up. It's something you did good. You were smart enough and wise enough to put your kids in sports so that they didn't go down the same path as you, drinking, possibly doing drugs, or even end up in gang culture, which I think a lot of fathers don't see. They're a little blind to it. So that was kudos on your part for doing that, man.
Thank you, man.
You're leading from example from the front, and, you learn from experience, and you make sure they didn't fall in your footsteps. Not saying it was bad, but it was the path that you had to take. You had to take the rough path to learn.
Yeah, and it all started, like I said, that's what I said to myself, that I was going to do the opposite of how I was raised and what my dad did to me, which left me, you know? Yeah. And I don't know what really happened or what's going on. I'm not even holding anything, against them either. But I just said to myself, I'm going to do the opposite with my kids. So that kind of holds me strong and checks me at times where relationships are tough, man. And that's a whole nother topic that we could open up, because I deal with a lot of relationship, being that I've been married with my wife for like 27 years. And I have my ups and downs. It ain't rainbows.
Never.
It's about choosing peace over being right all the time.
Yes.
A lot of times it is our fault. Us as men growing up, machismo, and thinking that, hey, you know what, females are not, man. You got to get on their place. It takes two to make that decision at the end of the day. And we got to change that shit.
Yeah. Well, Efron, this was a wonderful podcast, man. We could go on for hours, but it's time to wrap it up, and I enjoyed myself, and hope this is one of many more, man.
Oh, man, absolutely, man. We have so much more to touch on. Like I said, the 5 negative emotions I've been speaking about, recently, and it's opening a lot of can of worms, because that's where the healing process begins. I actually wanted to kick it off with that, but obviously we flow with it anyways, but that's been one of my main pieces of the puzzles to help a lot of people. The 5 negative emotions, anger, guilt, hurt, and it starts by, looking in the accountability mirror. Most of it has to do with just looking in the mirror, being honest with yourself, and just letting it go. Let that shit go. Stop holding on to shit.
That's true. All right, my man.
Oh, man, thank you.
Good podcast.